Good afternoon, everybody. This is Sunday, the 5th of April, and today I'm going to talk to you about resilience. A few years ago, I penned an important book that had been quite a few years in the making, and people had asked me to write a book that focused on recovering and healing from post-traumatic stress. And, over the last few months, we've seen just how devastating the impacts of COVID-19 and the threat that's been progressing around the world, the impact on people, and most recently, when people have come into countries and then been taken from their aircraft and put into hotels under quarantine. For many people, the impacts of COVID-19, aside from the medical side of things and getting sick, the impacts on people may or may not cause a level of trauma. Now, trauma comes in two ways, basically, physical trauma and psychic trauma. And psychic trauma is all about disruption of the emotions and how we feel about things that then influence how we think about things. And in my book, Post-Traumatic Stress, Not a Life Sentence, I go through all the aspects, the medical aspects of trauma, and I talk to you about various examples of people who have sort of stayed in that trauma symptom recovery mode, and they don't seem to be able to let go of the symptoms, and how that then has implications on the rest of their lives, versus the people who are able to recover, understand what their trauma was about, what it did to them, what their symptoms were, and through root cause analysis and understanding themselves to a greater degree, they were able to step forward to much better health outcomes. And hence, I focus very much on dropping the D that comes after PTS. Now, I don't have much favour in the medical community for focusing on dropping the D, and that is probably because it's yet one of those things that's listed in the diagnostic manual, and if it's in the manual, therefore people need to be labelled with that. And I don't agree with labelling people or boxing people based on their symptomatology. And a big focus in my book, Post-Traumatic Stress, Not a Life Sentence, is about viewing trauma and its effects through a resilience lens. So actually teaching people about their current level of resilience and how to build a greater resilience. Now, when we think about in the medical sense, resilience as seen in the nursing and allied health fields is the ability of a body to return to its original form after being stretched or compressed. In the context of emotional resilience, it's the ability to recover from and adjust easily to misfortune or change. Other generic definitions include resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness. Resilience is the ability to become strong, healthy, and successful again after something bad happens. And also, resilience is able to quickly return to a previous good condition. So when we think about resilience, we have to then see that emotional recovery and that ability to cope with situations that create stress. So there are additional stressors that you have in your life. We need to think about it in terms of the emotional response is part of a bigger picture. And behind me you'll see a tree. Well, it is a tree. It might look like a mushroom, but it's a tree. And when we deliver our PTS, Not a Life Sentence training, I talk about the happy tree. And basically what that is defining the holistic person as one that is feeding itself the right nutrients and managing its environment as best as possible to produce what I call a happy tree. If you don't feed a plant, a tree or a flowering plant or a vegetable, whatever, some water and nutrients, you don't get a very healthy, lively, happy plant that produces a lot of fruit. So when you think about you as a person, at this point in time, I know you might find it limiting to get the things that you need from the supermarket, but 90% of what people need to survive is available, and you need to focus on the nutrient level of what you're giving yourself. As you build your nutrient value in the body and you feed yourself the right things, good water, good food intake, good rest, good exercise, then you're more likely to build a framework within yourself that is able to manage the emotional stressors, the potential traumas that you will face, and it will also allow you to live in a happier, healthier, and more sustainable way. So resilience is founded in you doing the right things by yourself, as well as you recognizing that you are always going to manage things differently to somebody else. I want to read just a couple of paragraphs out of the book, and I'll put the cover of the book at the end of this session, but I want you to think about this week and reflect yourself on your own level of resilience and also what your expectations of others might be. One of the fundamental things about developing resilience is that you have to experience things first. Without experiences to expand our minds and hone our coping skills, we might just as well be content to be a slug in the garden. Emotional resilience is founded in living a healthy, balanced life, learning things, applying those learnings, learning from our mistakes, and having strong bonding relationships with others that can withstand obstacles and tests that we face in life. In that sense, then, the very first challenging experience you had in your life as a baby was the beginning of your journey in building your resilience. Throughout your childhood, no doubt you experienced many more things, each of these adding to your repertoire of coping skills and acting to mature you at an emotional level. With motivation to do better next time, you could have honed your coping skills, or you would have honed your coping skills, building emotional and mental strength as you grew. Just remember, no matter what age you are, you already have a level of resilience. And it's how you adapt to the stressors that you're under now that are going to add to that repertoire of skills. Don't discount how strong you are. Nobody is weak. Everybody has a level of strength. The second you were born, you were strong. So you're building on those strengths. Your expectations of others has to be tempered with understanding that everybody's development, their experiences are all different. So don't sit in judgment of people if they don't appear to be coping very well. They are always trying to rationalize what's going on in context to a very dynamic situation. I hope you have a really great week. It's Easter next weekend. I will be recording Peace Bites next weekend. If you have comments and you wish to subscribe, please feel free. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great week. See you next time.